encountered death and my own fear of death, felt this deep sense of unworthiness finally show its head. My best friend's family were probably quite openly racist in the household. And as a little child, I picked it up. He tells me this story that's painful. It's painful to share it to him. As a white British male, a British heritage, to engage fully and wholly and with commitment in a passage of decolonial healing, a process of decolonial healing.
Because sometimes I think, these themes, they never quite leave us. We learn to let them go until they revisit, and then we equip ourselves with further skills to let the next layer go, because they're layered, everything is layered, right?
Well, how do we break curses? Ancestral curses, colonial curses, those that exist, that pervade in culture, to embrace one another with enough kinship, enough love, even if it feels like the other person hasn't got it yet.
I think sometimes when we are having conversations, your human instinct is, I need to be right. It's within us all. It's unlearning that.
It's the warfare itself that we are battling against, but our weaponry is very different to violence.
Welcome to the Soul Revolution podcast, a space where stories find their voice and we find ourselves within them.
The revolution starts within.
You are not alone. You are not alone. Go all alone. You have not and will not have to suffer, neither thrive all on your own. 'Cause love is the whole soul and collective no soul. The very flesh and bone. No matter how your mind's eye may be blinded by your phone. Who could have known that shame was etched into his very name? The sense of worthlessness, just the beginning of the end on a dirty tree, destined for tragedy. Why would you ever put yourself at the side of the one who does you harm? Guilt can be a pillar built in our most formative years. There's a part of me I eventually find that wonders if I deserve to even be alive. And no wonder good enough for loving has been hard to find. Perhaps you understand, maybe you share the kind. A reality of twist and man is here at the beginning, but now there's this empathy, destined for a new water currency, and the future forms of love that right here in our hands, and they're the oldest and most simple in the book of. Your love is the culmination of the human love that tens of thousands of years. It whispers your name to you, both in your birth and your death throes, and in every initiation in between. No matter the horrors that may seem to define the losses or sorrow, only love can have created you in endless moments along the line. And I'm speaking of a love which is nature's deepest code, the very DNA which forms your flesh and blood and bone. Have you chosen to have forgotten, because your empty culture told you so, that the most supposedly primitive love is the most essential? I don't know if I control her, threw away the key. Even the most supposedly troubled humans have it as we do it, we. You are not alone. You are not born to go all alone. You have not and will not have to suffer the fire all alone. Cause love is the whole soul and collective of the soul. The very flesh and bone. No matter your eye, your skin tone. So have faith. Have faith. It takes a strength to see a light in the dark. Come as hope. You choose a strong faith for a socialize the weak days. You choose a strong love for a culture to comfort my soul. No more shame. No more shame. We were born for these joys together. To be birth and more of our girls and boys. Your love is the culmination of the human love and work of tens of thousands of years. Get some perspective. Your love is the whole soul and collective. Soul. The very flesh and bone.
Hello, Soul Revolution family. Welcome once again to our podcast. Today's guest is called ZackieL. ZackieL and I met probably last year, I think it was actually. Last year during the summer. There was an instant connection, and as I found out a little bit more about him and his journey and his talents and his gifts, Alex and I were very excited to get him on the podcast, especially after his performance with Simran at Soul Revolution Festival this year. ZackieL is an activist, a singer, songwriter, space holder, event organizer, and wears many different hats, as many of us do. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you so much. I really want to get into the song that you've just performed for us. I'd love to know your journey of writing the song and how it came to you and what it means to you.
Solace is the name of the song. I wrote it 4 years ago now, and it was after a night that was the most horrendous of my life. It was awful. I had a terrible time. I suffered immensely through that night. It was a ceremony, and I was near Iquitos in the Amazon of Peru. And it was a journey with the medicine, with the mother, Aya. And I'd encountered death and deathliness and my own fear of death. And more so than that, it was also a sense that there was something in me that I'd found, that I uncovered, that I felt it even deserved to die. I felt this deep sense of unworthiness finally show its head and surround me, and then completely block me in a state that I suppose you could only describe as a total paranoia. And I was just lost to it. Must have been for hours. I can't tell exactly how much. But there were points in that night that I wouldn't want to speak to quite too loudly, but I know now, to more of an extent, what it must feel like to lose your mind completely. And it was terrifying, and it was awful. And the night went by in the clutches of the grip of this. But then suddenly this bubble that had formed around me was burst, bit by bit, and then more and more so, until I was completely freed from it. And it was the voices of good friends of mine, beautiful friends of mine. The beauty of the sound of their voices just suddenly pierced me. And I could feel their love. And what it did is bring me back in that remembrance of just how much friendship can transform our lives, just how much it can teach us when truly we're supported by one another. And I was able to shake it off. I was able to come back to the fire. I was able to help light the fire up again, play some music, give. And then the sun rose when the ceremony came to an end. And I came and sat outside, watched the sun rise up through the trees. And the song just came all in one go. I had two friends who'd come and join me, and they sat and they got to listen to the first version of it just as I was writing it out. And it's a long song. There's a whole lot of lyrics, and there's a whole other section as well. It'd probably be a good 10 minutes long or so, the song in full. But it's important enough to me, this tune, that I've decided to name a whole multimedia arts project that I've been presenting. I've been sort of preparing it since that day, but especially in the past year, I've been putting it together. There's a music video, which is more like a short art film, that has another song called Wild and Wise, as well as this one, that tells a story of a becoming, an unbecoming, and a becoming. And there's key three themes to the project: regenerative artistry, the rites of passage and the passages of rites, and decolonial healing, integrated into the expanses of the project, which will have many more arms to it, many more expressions of it. But there's also gallery exhibitions, there's also panel discussions, and spoken word pieces, and the performances of these songs, dance performances also. What's decolonial healing when it's embodied, for example. And this song is still at the heart of it, you know. It's still a root piece that a lot more has come from. It's birthed so much, this song.
Amazing. Tell me more about the project then, how that came into being, and where you are, what stage you are at with it.
We did the big launch just back in, it was June the 30th, in Anso South Hall in London. And there's another one that I'm planning in the south of France, which is where I live quite a bit of my time. And actually, it was the official launch of the project, but there's been the solace sessions that I've been running for a while now. So these are events that are concerts largely, but always very collaborative in nature, and always with those same key themes that form the basis of what it's all about. And now it's in launching mode, and I'm about to go and do a large artistic residency. I've been organising for this for 6 years, really, to go and record my album. As much music as I can, ideally even more so than an album, and to be deep in the mode of residency. And the music is especially the focus at the moment, is consolidating the music I've been writing and recording it, having it ready for the world, but also for new music to come through, still in this theme.
Sure.
This episode is sponsored by Little Earth. Little Earth is a retreat centre based in Wolverhampton. To find out more, you can check them out on Instagram or check them out on their website.
So those three key themes, remind me of them again through the project.
Regenerative artistry.
So let's do it one by one, and let's unpack what that means.
I can do that.
For you personally and as a collective. Yeah.
Regenerative artistry is a phrase that I've used to say artistry that is as a medicine, as a form of medicine. That is for the sake of, as I was saying, an unbecoming and a becoming. For things that can fall away, things that we can pass through, for then gifts that we can give. And for me, this is always done in a collective framework. This is always done together, in a sense of togetherness, lifting each other up rather than being so front and center and trying to make it all about a performance. Music is a form of healing. So, rites of passage and passages of rites. I feel like we don't have our custom rites or passages set in stone, organized, made clear with particular people that conduct that passage for us, for our young people, but for people at all stages of their lives. We have sort of replacements that happen in culture, I suppose, you know. There's a lot about festivals that I feel is to do with rites of passages. For example, young people will go to their first festivals. And, for example, there are many different kinds. I won't go into it too much. I feel it's so important that we reintroduce this, but also that we discover our own. That each one of us, we're sort of taught that, and maybe there isn't necessarily a very established way to do so, but you can create your own. This has definitely been a story of my life. But if that can be facilitated, this can be a very beautiful thing, no? Our own particular expression and creation of what a rite of passage is for ourselves. A passage of rites, as in rituals, that we can bring ourselves through, a step at a time.
What was you hit on? You've created your own rites of passage throughout your life. What were some of them?
There have been so many different kinds, but I suppose the biggest and most momentous and clear is when I left to go and travel. I was 19 and I travelled for 2 years. It was 2.5 years really, and I just sort of didn't come back home in that whole time. And it was like walking out the door. Arriving in Australia was the first place I went to. It was just a pathway of meeting incredible counselors and teachers and challenges and extremes of life, one after the other. I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to do that, the accessibility to do that, to just go and have such a level of liberty and freedom to do so, to be accompanied by my music also, to be able to accompany the way of music also. And others, the first big collaborations as an artist, working with other musicians and artists, where it came to a place where it was very clear that what was being made for us was a lot larger than ourselves. You know? That was a really initiating process for me. Joining Ubuntu Village, my collective Ubuntu Village, the Decolonial healing and humanity space, every step of the way has been incredibly challenging. But we've done so much, and it's moved and touched so many people's lives, and all of us have been deeply, deeply affected by the process, and we found such family, you know. And it gives me so much joy. It gives such purpose and meaning, and yeah. Every time we get together, it feels like a rite of passage in a new way, you know.
Yeah.
The third subject is decolonial healing. So this is what we do as the collective, and it feels like it's become a key purpose of my life. It's a true calling to represent what this means as a white British male, a British heritage, to engage fully and wholly and with commitment and consistency in a passage of decolonial healing, a process of decolonial healing. Of course, I would say that I've been choosing this consciously for 5 years or so now, but it's been lifelong. So many things have come into place to put me in this direction. I'm still early days. There's so much to go through. But if there's anything I can share about that process that will touch anyone's life at all, then I'm doing something good. And I know this is going to be a giving that I'm called to do. If I feel responsible somehow to do it.
Was your vision in life very clear from the beginning? Did you know that, you have this calling, or did you have to work it out?
I had to work it out over a long time. I think there had to be so much that had to be deprogrammed before I could relearn all of this.
What was that deprogramming like for you?
I reckon the first memory I have of it, and my dad tells this story really well.
Okay.
I must have been 4 or 5. And I grew up in a little village in France. 30 years, there's still plenty of racism in that area now, but 30 years ago I would have been surrounded by it. And my dad's theory is that it was probably my best friend's family were probably quite openly racist in the household, and I was hanging out with them plenty. And as a little child, I picked it up. He tells me this story it's painful. It's painful to share it, to express it, but I'm so glad of the result. My dad had a friend of his who's of Indian heritage come and visit him. We were sitting at a cafe, and I got dropped off and came and sat on my dad's lap. And I look up at his friend, and the first thing that sort of spews out of my mouth, I say, he's black. Where on earth did I get that from? Can you imagine how that must have made my father feel, how it must have made my friend feel? And I can very much put myself in his position now. My dad's solution was, after a moment of silence, that must have happened. He just picked me up and put me in a friend's lap, you know. It's that introduction we have to kinship and to who we're most surrounded by, and the family that can be created. I feel that's the strongest and most potent way of deprogramming. I also had my godmother's partner, Jamaican man, who came into my life shortly after, and he was an uncle to me. You know, he was a really important person in my life that I really looked up to. And him and their children, I think, had a strong effect on me at the very beginning. Although I moved to London as a 7-year-old, I just turned 7, and then was immediately surrounded by, all my friends were from all over the world, of course. And then the deprogramming happened step by step. But it really is, I can think of every sort of chapter of my life, and there were moments very strong that led me through that. And it feels like curses had to be broken. And I would use a word that strong.
Interesting.
Where did those curses come from then?
Much larger than just my childhood or the influences that have been picked up, of course. Much larger than just the cultural conditioning, although very much that also. I remember moments where I'd go into journey, I'd go into a state of envisioning and tackle exactly that question. It's been multiple moments where I've really created space and gone out into particular places that are important to me in nature, and encountered that, and encountered where that comes from within me. And experience moments that are like, how to describe it best? I haven't spoken about it that much before, I suppose.
Okay.
I'd experience both the embodiment of having been treated with terrible racism and committing terrible racism. The Middle Passage, for example. I sat with what the experience of the Middle Passage must have been, and I wonder if there's something ancestral. How can I know? If it's not personally ancestral, it's ancestral in the collective consciousness, and it's just there's something that I can connect to there. You see? And both committing terrible crimes to humanity, but being on the receiving end of them, and feeling that shamefulness, feeling that horror, feeling that terrible grief, feeling that terrible rage, and going through it as intensely as seemed necessary in that moment, and then clearing it from that space. And I suppose another way I can describe unbecoming and becoming or deprogramming is to actually make sure that something dies ensuring that it's ended with the right. I was thinking of a way to describe it, like if a creature is suffering, we've come across an animal that's been wounded, and we know it's going to die, but it's going to die slowly. That responsibility you suddenly have, that you would never want to face, to have to put it out of its misery. You do so with reverence, and you do so with a great deal of compassion. You do so with a great deal of love for the creature, and you send it on its way. It's a really hard thing to do, but it's not done with violence. It's this thin line. And something needs to be killed, like a curse.
Mm-hmm.
It can actually be done with no violence whatsoever. It can be done with realizing the reason we need to do it most of all, so that it can get out the way of the love that can then be shared between us, you know? So that was an incredibly beautiful realization that not just one thing, there's many things that need to be cleared from the field. And to do so with, to do so for reasons of love and the responsibility that brings.
Yeah. It's very interesting, your use of words there, you know, curse. It's not something that people will speak about, I think, or even speak about lightly. So that's something, you know, the series is all about becoming free, and we're hitting on it already. You're talking about the deprogramming, and then the becoming and the unbecoming and the becoming again. It's such a process for us. If somebody said to you, you know, I feel like I'm suffering from a curse, or there's a curse on my life, or I feel like I'm a curse, what would you share?
Love with them. I'd share love with them. I wouldn't have this thing that we often do of I need to protect myself from you.
Yeah.
Because I think actually if there's enough of an acceptance and a kinship and a lovingness in the space, then there is protection. There's other ways to protect, but in a way that doesn't create that much of a wall between us. And that's the only way I've ever felt it and seen moments like that and experienced moments like that with people actually come to a beautiful place, to a beautiful conclusion. An absolute acceptance of that person and everything that they are, and attempting to do everything possible to make them feel completely comfortable to share what this is and where it's coming from. And certainly, if it's not me who's the best person to receive that in that moment, doing everything I can to organize, to facilitate that they are able to share that with the right person in the right moment. And then the person who's being shared to is also supported in that role. But of course, it's much larger than what can be shared with words. And the presence of fire, it being able to go into the flames, energetic clearance, and the potency of music in that moment. These are the tools that I come with. You know?
If you're enjoying this episode, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll be deeply appreciative. Join our revolution. The revolution starts within.
What are some of the key themes that have presented itself to you through your journey in life thus far, that you've really grappled with and struggled with, and then equally then held space for, and then said, okay, I'm going to release you until you may visit me again? Because sometimes I think, you know, these themes, they never quite leave us. We just learn to let them go until they revisit, and then we equip ourselves with further skills to let the next layer go, because they're layered, everything is layered, right? What are some of those themes that keep repeating in your life that you feel you really have to stand firm in, give yourself permission to feel, and then say, okay, I'm ready to let you go again?
One of the lyrics in the song is I say, love is the whole soul in collective. Love is the whole soul in collective, but also the very flesh and bone. What I'm trying to say there is that we can have an ideal of love, no? We can have an idealism of love, and very much see it as the cause and the thing that we need to embody the most in order to break through, in order to live our best, and so on. It's an ideal. We can idealize it. I've certainly idealized it in the past. I've certainly, seen it as recognized it as the thing I need to practice, but then not truly incorporated it into my being, or not actually naturally being in the place of feeling it, of course. Oh, you're challenging me with this question. And it does come back. It does come back round. And it's such a gift each time that I just know it's wholly present. And it is entirely natural, I'm going to put some more wood on this fire.
Yeah, please. What does the fire mean to you? What does it represent for you?
My favorite place to play music. My favorite place to share stories. To pray is by the fire and looking into the flames. And to actually sing, and for the music to really be devoted to the fire itself is my favorite thing to do, the moment of sharing music, because for me it represents the flame, the eternal flame, the unending flame. And when there's a fire lit somewhere, it's like it's the same flame that is of all fires lit all over the world, and all humans, And that's what I feel. I'm sitting by a fire and I can feel that worldwide connection. It is the element, and it's the element that most connects me to quintessence, to the fifth element, also to all things, to the very essence of being. That's my feeling with fire. I've got a lot of love for fire.
Yeah, beautiful. Talking about the connection to all beings, like around the world, we can't ignore what's happening in the world at this moment in time, and I wonder how you are navigating it all.
The thing about psycho-spiritual warfare, which I feel is what is most guided, setting the tone for so many of these conversations, for so much of this work that needs to happen, this activism that needs to take place, that is taking place. The limitations that, not the limitations, the way that our work gets imposed upon and made more difficult is for a lack of consciousness, I feel, of how exactly this warfare takes place. And I feel a responsibility we have, a first of many, or one of the first of many, I feel anyway, is to make sure that we're propagating an understanding of how this works. The complexities of it, how it has already affected us, how it could continue to affect us as individuals, and our dynamics between us when we're working together. How can we decolonize our relationships, our relationship to ourselves, to make sure that we're empowered enough to do this work? So I suppose that's the second responsibility that we'd have, is encouraging one another, and each one teach one, no?
Yeah.
Teaching one another how to empower ourselves enough that we're not being imposed upon by this stuff that is very hidden narrative, that is very unconscious, extremely unconscious,
Yeah.
and very powerful. But of course we can overcome it, and easily enough, but we just have to share the codes with one another of how to do so exactly. And I suppose a third responsibility we have with these things, with facing this psycho-spiritual warfare, is doing so with enough of exactly what I was speaking before. How do we break curses, ancestral curses, colonial curses? Those that exist, that pervade in culture, is by being able to embrace one another with enough kinship, enough love, even if it feels like the other person hasn't got it yet, even if it feels like the other person is still wrapped up in that particular way of seeing, in those codes, in a colonized way of being. And to say it simply, that we can have a complete openness to one another as opposed to imposing judgment, cutting people out because us and them situation, us and them psychology, which even amongst those in the conscious community, when we feel that we have the moral slope and we can preach unity all the time, we can very quickly judge and very quickly belittle and very quickly ostracize.
Yeah.
And most of the time this is happening unconsciously. We don't even realize that we're doing it. It's very subtle codes all the time, no? Yeah, we've got to do this together. It is the first and foremost, we have to do this together. So we have to be ready for that within ourselves, I feel. I try my very best. I don't get it right all the time at all. And then have the connections well enough in place that we can empower one another from a place of kinship. That's unbreakable.
How do you navigate conversations, especially with what's happening in the world at the moment? People are coming from various different lenses. Everyone's got a different opinion. For me personally, I keep coming back to, it's humanity, and regardless of what your political beliefs are, your religious beliefs are, even if you believe in karma, no karma, whatever it might be, what's taking place shouldn't be taking place at all. How do you have those conversations amongst people who are just so, I guess, steadfast in their belief? How do we exercise that? Because that's where the challenge is, right?
I really want to ask you the same question.
How do I?
Yeah.
So there's a scripture that I'm reading at the moment from the Bible. It's in Matthew 7, and it talks about judgment. And I've been meditating on it for probably the last 2 weeks now. And it says, before you judge another for the speck in his eye, notice the plank in your own.
The plank?
Yeah.
The plank in your eye?
The plank in your eye.
What does
so
it
there
mean?
might be a speck in... So basically, the plank of wood that I have in my eye.
Oh, plank in your eye.
Don't judge somebody else for the speck of wood that they have in theirs.
What does it mean to you?
It means to constantly come back to myself. Before I make a judgment or an opinion about somebody else, check myself, essentially, It helps me maintain, and I don't get it right all the time, but it is something that I'm practicing daily, actually. It helps me maintain like a balanced version of humanity, that everybody's just trying their best, and we don't all get it right. In conversations, and I have had some conversations that, feel quite fueled by emotion at the moment, because everybody is emotional with what's taking place in the world. Some people are detached completely. Some people are very much feeling it and within it. It's learning to hold the space without taking it personal. And I think for myself, learning that my opinion is not somebody else's opinion, but it doesn't make their opinion wrong. Then we're in this space, like you said, where we are trying to, I and I, we are all one. We're all human, despite our colours, our beliefs, our, whatever. But then when you have conversations like that, you can really feel the separation.
painful.
instantly, and it's painful, right? And then you have to keep coming back to this. It's again coming back to that theme of like becoming, unbecoming, becoming. But then you have to come back to no, we're all one. Even if you're feeling the pushback from the other person, you're still all one. I don't have the answers, right? We're just learning as we go.
Have you had a particular moment recently where you found a conclusion, you found a good way to do it, that it's actually worked, you know?
Yeah, no, one thing I would say that the core team do very well in Soul Revolution, and I feel very, very blessed being here, is that we can have difference of opinions within our core team, but we lay it all out and we still walk away with peace. Even if there is a place of like, okay, well, that's your opinion, this is my opinion. Let's just learn to disagree, like agree to disagree on that, and that's okay. I think sometimes when we are having conversations, your human instinct is, I need to be right. It's within us all of us. I need to be right. It's unlearning that, you know, deprogramming from that actually you can just have a conversation and it just be, there doesn't have to be a conclusion from it. It's just a conversation.
Because that's not where the warfare, as I'm choosing to call it, is won by you being right in a conversation.
Exactly, yeah.
It's by somehow having managed to find the ground upon which you can agree, and the solidarity that you can then have with each other. Because as soon as that connection is made, that's where we begin to win, because it's the warfare itself that we are battling against, of course, but our weaponry is very different to violence.
Yeah.
Very, very different. It's the opposite of violence, of course.
I think also we all have a different part to play within it all. You know, it's like we're all part of one body, so to speak, but we have various different parts. You know, what the hand can do is different to what the foot can do, etc. But it's all connected to one body. And I think that's the other thing that I'm realising, that we all have our part to play, but our part is different. So therefore, when you realise that, the expectation leaves as well. The judgment leaves. Oh, that's a hand. Oh, this is a foot. Oh, we work a little bit differently, but we're connected to the same thing. You know?
We're part of the same body.
Yeah, precisely. Exactly that. Let's talk about your music and the messaging within your music, and, you know, what you would like to, I guess what your intention is behind the music that you create.
I just know the lyrics, the message, the musicality, the melodies just come and continue to come and continue to come and continue to come. There's songs that just, as soon as, like, almost every time I've got a spare moment, next thing a song is being written, you know, and it can just continue to flow and continue to flow, and I just need to get out the way.
Sure. Yeah. How are you finding that process of getting out the way?
And not take myself too seriously at all.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
I can take myself out too seriously, of course, but that's the joy. The joy really comes when I manage to let go of that.
Yeah.
And simply open the doors for it wider. And that's my role, just to facilitate that opening and get myself in the right places, healthy, you know, and sort of play a parent role for this this child, a divine child, I suppose, that will come forth and just bubble up with so much, you know, endless play.
Sure, yeah.
And it just feels so much larger than myself. And it's a wonderful thing to encounter it, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad to have this as part of my life. And the other thing I have to do is continue to make a living and bring bread to the table, and you know, hold my relationships well and keep myself in good health, and all of these responsibilities and so forth. Juggling these things is difficult. To make enough space for the music, because that's my craft, that's my role, that's my mission. That's what I feel I'm here for. And so many other things want to take up so much of my time and my energy, so much of the time. So that's the complicated element. It's not just as if it's ego and my masks that want to get in the way too much. It's other life things, and that's the juggle, and that's the challenge that I'm overcoming bit by bit.
Tell me some of your like inspirations in music. Who do you listen to? Who are you inspired by?
My parents always tell me the story of I was dancing to Bob Marley as soon as I could stand. You know, my dad. I'm speaking of my father again. He would play a kalimba, you know, like a fun piano and bira, against my mother's belly when I was still in the womb. And it's just in my bones. It's everything I am, you know.
Yeah.
And and Bob Marley is massive. He's been massive in my life. It's incredible. It must have been he was like a massive role model and obsession for all of my childhood. And I'm sort of even going into my teens. I still know almost all the lyrics of every one of the songs, and the entire message that he had to bring forward had a real important role in my life to play. And other artists, I'm a collector of music, and I love music so much. And I've got an unspeakable amount of influences.
Sure, yeah.
But I suppose that the reason I call my own music global soul is because there's soul music and neo soul are real bases, certainly in how I sing, because it's the emotionality, it's telling stories with my voice and a soulfulness, a general soulfulness. But then with many worldwide influences, it's like flamenco is strong at the moment, for example. Got a lot of love for flamenco. West African blues in my guitar style. Percussion. My father was a percussionist.
Okay.
Brought that, gave that to me as a gift. So Afro-Latin congas is special. That kind of rhythmic history that I've had the good fortune of being able to learn. You know congas. You know what I mean by the conga drums.
Yeah.
And
but for
and
our
djembe
viewers who don't
and
know,
dabuka. The congas is the two large drums that are tunable and a very flat topped and have a real pop, a real sharp sound, you know. And you often play the two at the same time. Sometimes you have more, and they're tuned, so you can play melodiously with them and build melodies at the same time as you play them. And played often, most famously in salsa music, but in all kinds of music, you know. And so percussion and rhythm is very deep in the bones of my music, you know. And everywhere I've traveled, so in India for a long while, there's a lot of classical Indian music that's deeply touched me, Middle Eastern music also, and Latin American music. And medicine music, absolutely. Now that I've encountered it to so much of a degree, I wouldn't ever sort of put my music in like the framework of medicine music, you know. But it's definitely one of the strong influences.
Your father sounds like quite a big part of your life and inspiration.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
that correct? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What have you learnt most from him?
Well, there's definitely many things that I've learned how not to do, and so on and so forth from my father. I got so much love for, but I've always had a very, very, very difficult relationship with. What have I learned the most from? Hey, it's really nice to say it, actually, a joyousness of life that comes through so much culture and the sharing of culture and music and just the warmth of that, you know. That's a source of fire in my life. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
So grateful.
And your mother?
My mother, just what have I learned most from her? She's taught me so many things. Deep kindness. Deep kindness for all things, all beings, everyone, and ourselves, you know.
Wonderful. We always close the podcast with just asking you if you have any words or song to leave with our viewers, and whatever is coming through, if you could just point into that camera there. Yeah.
Coming to an end already? Oh,
already.
I'd like to share some of the lyrics from a song Remnants.
Beautiful. Please.
which I'd have liked to have shared almost, but I chose Solace to share from a place of more authenticity in my personal journey. But Remnants is a song that came through about the same time as I wrote Solace. And it was one of the major moments of a real integration of what decolonial healing means for me. You get to stay here with me this time.
Yeah.
So we can do a little shoulder jig together.
Okay. I can do that.
Remnants of the dirty dynamics, power, but when we love, the keys are here for opening these outdated doors. It ends with a we. Casting of nets shall be only a fisherman's duty. History, just like the body, holds the traumas. Violence is a lasting vice of the perpetrators, but it ends with a we. It shall no longer be carried.
Fancy singing with me?
Oh no, please continue. I don't want to scare the viewers.
Shall no longer be carried, and it shall no longer be carried. Chained can be the whip holder's hands, and ashamed can be his children's souls up. But we do not choose more blocks and blood and misery. We choose to raise our children up in peace, because it takes a village to be stronger together. To be choosing life over the perpetuated like the lighter. Life for one, I'll be choosing life.
You leave me speechless every time. Deep honor. Thank you. Thank you.
Imani, your name means faith.
It
no?
does.
I just love how it's pronounced. I love how it sort of comes out, Imani. It's a beautiful, beautiful
Thank you.
name.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much for this invite and this sharing. It means the world. And I know that you're creating a space for so many people to come and share particular codes. So we're speaking about the codes that already touch lives. So thank you. Thank you so much for what you do, for all you're doing. It's much more than just this podcast. Your life is clearly in a whole lot of service for a whole lot of good. And it's very, very seen. Very deeply appreciated.
I appreciate those words. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Deeply. If people want to connect with you, how can they connect?
Well, on Instagram, it's an underscore, ZackieL, an underscore. There's an email if you want to get through to me as well. I'm going to share my email.
Yeah, please. Yeah, okay.
My music one, ZackieLmusic@gmail.com.
Okay. And the tribe, Ubuntu, if they want to connect with you via Ubuntu.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the reminder. That's new.ubuntu. New.Ubuntu Village is how you can find us on Instagram, and that's probably the best way. And you'll be able to go through to our link tree and our other platforms through there also.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your presence and your wisdom, your knowledge and your gift as well. And I know Soul Revolution, myself, Gerd and Alex are really looking forward to journeying with you and to see where this unfolds. So thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Bless you.
And to our viewers, thank you all for tuning in. It's been a great episode. I've really enjoyed it. May God's grace and ease be with you all during this time as we navigate. Be still, listen, and trust yourselves. God bless. Thank you.
How often does Gerd get to be a bit more involved in the podcast?
Gerd is
I know you did your own podcast.
Yeah, he did.
It's really cool, but can we have you on the cameras for a second?
You can come and say hi.
Because you've been such, we created this space together.
He's always in. He's like, come on.
I just want to give you a hug.
Ah, there you go. Blessings. Yeah, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
And the space was open, so beautiful. So beautiful. It really touched me.
I love it. I love this. This is what we were talking about earlier on about the imperfection, but being perfect. So we can keep this in. It's very human. Yeah. Yeah. Not everything has to be so rehearsed. So beautiful.
Precisely.
The revolution starts within.